My guests today are interns from the Massachusetts Republican Party, John and Annalise. Welcome back to normal. This is your first appearance on a podcast, I take it?
Yes.
Okay. Now you're going to have to actually talk. You can't give me silence.
Oh, no, of course. No, this is my first time as well.
All right. Just ignore me as I click on buttons, and we're going to have a conversation. I'm going to ask you some questions.
Sounds great.
And so, well, tell me. I won't reveal who else is in the studio, but how has your internship been so far?
It's been great. What are we? I'm like week 3.
You don't have to lie. You're in the circle of truth.
John's been here longer than I have, but
yeah, I've been here since the spring, and I've really enjoyed it. Done a lot of fun, a lot of interesting things, I would say.
Okay. What's the most interesting thing you've done so far?
I really enjoyed the convention. That was
okay.
good.
You're here for that.
Yes, I was.
Excellent. Okay. What was interesting about it? Just never been and you experienced it?
It's like my first time really experiencing, I don't know, politics really firsthand, like straight up in your face. I was able to hear all the speeches. I was able to be part of the planning of it. So it was interesting, like the logistical side as well as like actually meeting all the people. So
okay. Good.
It was good. I
Excellent.
Really enjoyed it.
And Annalise, what about you? What's been a highlight so far?
we had the Lincoln Reagan dinner last week.
Okay.
Which I really enjoyed. Kind of similar to John. It's like you're really experiencing politics.
Right.
We got to shake some hands.
Yeah, it was cool. Meet some people.
Those are the fun things, right? So there are fun things about politics, and those are some of the few. The rest of it is a grind and a headache, and you will surely learn that. How many more months are you doing the internship?
Till August, end of August.
And okay, all right. So you got some time. I mean, we're going to be prepping right up to September kicks off, so you're going to be laying the groundwork, and then we'll be running rampant for 2 months straight. All right. So John, what school do you go to?
I go to Boston College.
Boston College, BC. Annalise, what about you?
I go to George Washington University in D.C.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so you're right in D.C. I have to ask this for both of you. Both of you are college Republicans, or are you just registered Republicans? Are you are part of the college Republican organization at the school?
Yes, I'm part of the organization, but I'm not super active. I do go to a couple meetings.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm pretty similar. I go to the occasional meeting, but
I like to ask this. College campuses will always be and have been notoriously liberal, but there are pockets of sort of resistance, and I admire anybody in college who's willing to put R next to their name and articulate beliefs and things like that. So what is the climate like for both of you? And you can describe each campus differently. What's the climate like for a Republican student and one willing to, put their reputation out there and say, yeah, I'm a Republican? And what is it, just nonstop fascist, Nazi, you're evil, that kind of stuff every day in and day out?
In my experience, definitely not. I think you would be quite surprised, actually. I think BC is a very rare school in Boston where there is a quite significant space for people who have different opinions, especially like in the interpersonal level. People are quite accepting. I have a good friend group. It's good. I think it helps partly that it's a Catholic institution.
Yeah, that probably contributes to it. So it's not super liberal arts, right? But
no, not necessarily. So it was good, and like I meet a lot of different professors who have interesting opinions, and they actually have real world experience. Most of all my professors are great, actually, and they are.
Well, you better say that.
No, it's true. I wouldn't say if it wasn't true. They are great.
Annalise, what about you? What's it like? You're in the heart of it in DC. Yeah. So what's it like?
I feel like I've had every experience. I think the GW is unique in the fact that it's so politically engaged. People come to GW to participate in politics. So on the conservative side, it's nice. Like, you're in a very liberal city, but you do have a fairly good amount of Republican students that are there to.
So you find each other.
It took me 2 years. Let me say, I feel like this past spring and this past year, I've really started to feel comfortable and I've kind of found my people. But yeah, I was a freshman during the 2024 election.
Okay.
So that was brutal. It was really just contentious and back and forth. And I felt like I never really, before I went to college, had a problem sharing people with my opinions with people, I really felt like isolated, and you feel alone when you first get there, especially in an environment like that. But because no one kind of wants to say, everyone's like, oh.
There's a little trick when politics comes up, and the liberals very loud about what they're saying, and then the other people are just.
Yeah, that's kind of what I learned. You look for the quiet people.
You know they're on the right. Look for the quiet people, and they know you're on. Know they're on your side.
That was And then actually after the election, I went to my first. I was like, I'm just gonna do it. Like I'm gonna go to the college Republicans meeting, and I went to my first one, and I finally felt like, oh my gosh, there's other people on this campus that I can relate to and talk to, and then I started to find my people, and so yeah, there's definitely that aspect. There's people that are there, and I feel like you can disagree with those people and the political science students.
And this is for both of you. How reasonable are the other students, and even those on the left? Are they willing to engage in a conversation, in a debate? I feel like maybe a generation ago, maybe I'm Gen X, right? So you guys are old enough to be my kids. What is that like now? Is it just they need a safe space, they can't handle disagreement, and they cover their ears and scream? Or is that starting to thaw and maybe change so that people are willing to be open-minded about some different ideas?
I remember back in high school, things were used to be a lot worse. Like nowadays, I think.
Well, let's take that back for a second. What was worse about it in high school?
Well, in high school, I grew up in Massachusetts. I lived here all my life, so I think the majority of public schools are quite. Well, I went to a private school, but even private schools are quite liberal in general, I think. Even though
all the colleges produce the teachers that work there.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
it used to be a lot. There's a kind of more of like a stronger sense of you need to agree with everything that we believe in. But in college, I feel like there's people are more willing to. I'm not sure if it's like maybe it's to have something to do with the 2024 election, or maybe like the recent. More recent situation in politics, but I feel like, especially in especially where I hang out, people are more willing to accept some sort of conversation, especially if it's 101. Like if it's in the group setting, I think maybe there's more pressure to conform. But if you go 101, people are willing to talk to you. Like I was able to have conversations with someone who completely disagreed with me, and we're still fine.
Right.
But maybe not so much in the group setting. Like I haven't tried it out so much group setting wise.
Well, I there's probably a few different aspects to that, right? You have situations where I think people on the left are bullies. I mean, you get like, right, especially on a college campus, it's like there's just not maybe that open-minded just to listen to what someone else has to say. And usually when that happens, you're going to change their opinion because our arguments are, here's one thing I want you both to understand. Our arguments are better than theirs.
It's true.
And that's why they don't want to debate. And that's why they will shout people down and try to get speakers canceled and not have that open dialogue. It's because they lose the argument when it does. So they resort to peer pressure, social pressure, bullying people around, and it really creates this unhealthy dynamic where we need it for long term. If you're going to solve things, you got to get people to change their mind. So is that what group types of situations where have you come across where and maybe Annalise you've experienced this as well, where that comes up? Are kids talking about politics that much, or is it just like I know you're not 21 yet, but you're having a beer and you're talking, but shh, I won't tell your parents.
Yeah. I found like in my classes, I'm a political science student, so in some of those classes you find other students that, they might not be on the left, but they want to talk to you and they want to engage. There's a loud majority of students that are not like that. We have protests on our campus probably every other day about various different things. Yeah. And I don't know, it maybe it's because I'm in DC, but it does feel like politics is on the forefront of everyone's minds. It's in every class.
Yeah.
You really aren't escaping it. And I mean, that's part of the reason why I went to DC. So I love it. But yeah, it can be tough. You find some people that want to talk to you, but we have a loud group of students that they don't, and they have their opinions, and there's no changing that. And they don't want to hear it. They don't want to talk to you. We have actually a pretty big Turning Point chapter on our campus.
Yeah, I wanted to get into that a little bit.
Yeah, we've had actually the school has been great about. We've had large speakers. RFK Jr. came to campus. Caroline Levitt, and we've had thousands of students turn up to those people that, because it is so politically engaged, just want to come and listen. And
well, I think that's a good sign.
Oh, it's
right.
great.
Turning Point has done good work. So I have several questions related to this, right? So I've been an online person since you guys were little kids, right? So I've seen it all, and I saw Charlie Kirk come up through the ranks, and some of his earlier stuff, he was just doing hot takes and things like that, and he definitely evolved and grew into a more intelligent young man, a more learned young man, and to see what he grew and what he started, especially on college campuses. And this is the what I really liked and respected about him, was that he would go there and he'd have the conversation, right? The conversation. And we hear from our opponents on the left that speech is violence and violence is speech, right? This is inverted Orwellian type of logic that they engage in to really, I think it diminishes the intelligence of the people who want to support their arguments. But Charlie was excellent at that, and got very good at knowing what his arguments were and why things happen the way they happen, and very down the line conservative, right? Now there's this split, and I want to talk to you both about that. What your opinions on Charlie Kirk? So I guess two questions to both of you. Your opinion on Charlie Kirk, was he the launching pad for you to get engaged in politics when you were kids? I mean, you're both sophomores, going into junior year of college?
Going into sophomore.
I'm
going
to
into sophomore year. Okay, so was he a launching point, or what was it that triggered you to get interested?
Yeah, for me, I feel like I was just kind of learning what politics was, probably middle school, during the Trump-Hillary Clinton election. Okay. And so that was a really interesting time to be even just learning what politics was. What is government? What is this? And then also at the same time having this massive election that is kind of unprecedented happening and it felt like everyone was talking about it. And so that's where I kind of grew interested in. My parents were always talking about it. The news was always on in my house. And at the same time in school, I was learning about politics. And so I was kind of seeing it in real time. And then we kind of are now in this era of this hyper partisan, crazy last 3 election cycles. And so I feel like that first election, it kind of caught my attention. And then ever since then, I've just always had a passion for it. The Charlie Kirk question, he kind of came in, I feel like a little later, maybe
he did,
when I was in high school.
Post-Trump, yeah.
Yeah, around
first
COVID, kind of high school, I feel like he really blew up. My senior year of high school, I had just committed to GW. We literally had the pro-Palestinian encampment take over our campus. And so I had just committed to GW, and then all over Fox News, it's GW students take over UYAR. And I was like, oh, well, what did I get myself into? And then a year and a half later, we have 3,000 students come watch RFK Jr. speak.
Yeah. I mean, that should tell us a lot, right? People are more engaged. And I think the way information flows nowadays, it lends itself to that, right? So you're able to get a lot more access to a lot more information. But that's a good sign that Turning Point can do that. I get a little nervous because organizations like that, it's they tend to fall apart without the founder there guiding the way. I'm not saying Turning Point will. I don't know, what the future holds with that. What are you seeing with the people maybe on the right that are more conservative? I know we have this split. I'll mention, I don't want to give her too much air, but you have this Candace Owens and the woke right and these elements that are real, and I'll just tell you, toxic, right? Bad folks. Is there a split with your friends on the conservative side, more populist versus traditionally conservative? If you're aware of that, what are you experiencing on that side? And John, if you want to touch on Charlie Kirk too, feel free.
So I'll begin a little bit with like what, like Charlie Kirk. I didn't really know about Charlie Kirk until maybe like end stage of COVID. Like I was always like involved. I was thinking about politics. I come from a quite political household. My parents are immigrants to this country, so I was actually, when I was younger, I was more left leaning. But as time went on, I became more and more right leaning because I simply could not stand socialism. So, so I moved to the right.
Are you an outlier now on a college campus? Because they all.
I mean,
I think you're going to find as you grow wiser and older that the people who support socialism are just lazier. And
or like something that always interests me actually is that the people who are like the big socialist revolutionaries are actually come from very well off.
Oh yeah, I mean, that has been 150 years of that.
No, like for instance, even so Che Guevara, he was from a very wealthy family in Argentina. Castro, his family was the largest landowners in Cuba.
Mm-hmm.
And like, or Trotsky's family was like the largest landowners in this province. So they were all these very wealthy people. But like Charlie Kirk's big influence on me, I must admit, I watched a lot of his stuff, but I feel like my political journey was already set in motion before.
Okay.
On campus with this entire, I feel like since we're in Boston, so much of our focus is on like simply like existing. So I don't think we go too far deep into that. But I think generally speaking, people are more interested in like the issues that affect our state, that affect the quality of life of people across the state, which I think are very big.
Well, normal people are.
Yeah.
Right. Well, look, I'm going to say this right now. You are both outliers of how people are. I am. I'll admit it. Right. And even with my friends outside of politics, I don't talk politics with them. I don't, because it's just, what's the point? Right. We'll talk about sports. We'll talk about their lives, our kids, and stuff like that. And people, you'll find each other. But even when I find people that I agree with and I like, and we're on the same side of stuff, it's just like, I don't want to complain with you about Maura Healey and Elizabeth Warren. Like, I get it. Okay. I talk about this enough here. I get my fill of it here. And you're going to get fill of it at your internship and your other activities. And when you graduate, you're going to stay politically active. That'll continue. But most people kind of don't. And you don't want to be that guy. Don't be that guy that talks about it, because you're going to be as annoying as the liberal who lectures you.
I don't want Elizabeth Warren to like rule my life.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. No, well, I mean, so you mentioned your parents, they're immigrants. Annalise, are your parents Republican, or are they, or is there any dynamic where it's
my
different?
dad's a firefighter.
Okay.
My mom's a small business owner. My mom voted for Obama twice, actually, and then
That's not very Republican, but okay.
Well, she's
regret
voted
it?
for Trump 3 times.
Okay.
Yeah. So my dad's always been pretty conservative, and then I feel like ever since I can remember, they've always been super conservative, but they've done a good job. I feel like since I've grown up, they don't push it on me. We have great conversations in my house and in my family at Thanksgiving. But yeah, they've always kind of said, do whatever you want. Like, don't be a socialist, don't be crazy, but, have the experiences, make your own decisions. They've spent money on my education to kind of learn for yourself, take the facts and create your own opinions, which I really appreciated. And I think there's this kind of misconception that conservative parents, they just push it on their kids, and you're doing what your parents tell you to do. And yeah, I mean, I've listened to what they have to say, and they have a lot of great points, but I also feel like I've taken their experiences. My dad's a firefighter. My mom runs a small business. She actually runs a home daycare. So the state comes into my house every single year. They do all the regulations, and I actually, you can see the government in action, and that's formed a lot of my opinions. Yeah, I feel like, because the regulations and the just encroachment of the government, I feel like I've seen firsthand.
So you both mentioned socialism now, and we see it on the rise. We see it with the Nazi Plattner in Maine, who's a communist, Mamdani, who's a communist. I don't know how wide the reach is becoming of socialism and communism, but it's certainly on the rise, right? And I'm imagining there's probably a fair amount of people on college campuses that are identifying themselves as socialists with complete ignorance of what that all entails. What do you engage with anybody, even on like your one-on-one conversation, John? You were mentioning that. does that come across when people are saying, "Oh, I'm a socialist"? Did you go, "Do you know anything about socialism?" Or how prevalent is it on campus now that you see people openly advocating for these failed ideologies?
So one of the big things I think is happening is that there's a big push, even amongst, like, I would say even right-leaning people, to get the government more involved in the economy or like in people's lives, which is something I'm not a humongous fan of. But this idea of like, I'm a socialist, I want to improve people's lives, I think it comes from a good place, but it's just complete ignorance, really. It's like the best people do it out of, I think, a sense of like moral obligation, like, oh, I need to improve the lives of my fellow people, which is an admirable goal. It's just it's not how you do it. Like, it doesn't work out. They don't know anything about like the theory even, or like
which is why you get the upper middle class kids who are primarily pushing it, right?
No, exactly, because people don't actually understand what it entails. They don't understand the origins of it or even the consequences of it. Like, if you go to it, even like a benign example, like that, not like it was not a fully socialist, but its socialist characteristics. You go to like a country like Argentina, completely demolished by socialist policies, got big government, humongous regulations. Now you have only 57% of people are actually formally employed in the country. Only 43% of people are not actually formally employed because of the amount of regulations it takes someone to get actually officially recognized as employed. It's all because of these socialistic policies, the government getting involved, all these regulations on the economy. And you can see how quickly things turned around once you elected someone like Milei, who was a free marketer, and actually reduced the inflation rate from 211% to 32%.
Yeah.
Socialism doesn't work. It doesn't work economically. It doesn't work as an ideology either. Even I know I'm kind of bastardizing the use of ideology because ideology, the word ideology comes, it's like a socialist term, but I'm going to use it.
No, it's a fair representation. Yes. But do you see that in your fellow students? Where does it come from? Are you taking economics courses? Because you can, not to get too nerdy and wonky on this stuff, but you can, if they're still teaching Keynesian economics we don't have to talk about it, but there's economic principles and economic ideas that in the classroom that can be pushed that are completely faulty, Keynesian being one of them. Yeah. So
in high school, for instance, we had an economic class that was like Keynesian. The teacher was a good teacher, but like he taught us like the basic economics, but it was Keynesian, like the ultimate model of it. I think BC is somewhat harder to become a socialist because we have a really good business school. So they got good professors there. But like people who are not specifically like related to finance or anything like that, there's a humongous temptation to become a socialist because I think it's just easier to say you're a socialist. Like all the problems can be fixed with a magic wand, and then we don't have to deal with it. Just guys, we just have to spend more money. Genius idea.
Yeah, and they don't think it through.
No, they don't think it through. They think money grows on trees.
Yeah. I was gonna say, we have whole student organizations dedicated to socialism and communism. And
wow. Wow.
But like John said, it's not the business students. We have also a good business school. It's the gender studies students and the liberal arts students.
Humanities students like us. But
but yeah, it's not the business students. It's the people that aren't actually studying it.
I'm curious if anybody has experience or these students that are part of the student socialist organization, communists. I'm going to assume they're probably too far gone, right? Yes. That to not reachable, where reality, they have a very comfortable life, like you mentioned. John mentioned that, like they're come from a very well off families, which is it's just so typical. I don't know if you know locally. There's a young lady who, when she was in high school, became very prominent. Now she is her name's Calla Wall. She's a very bad individual. She's in Iran right now, literally working with the mullahs. She's anti-American. When she comes back to America, she will be arrested.
She was an Elizabeth Warren aide or something like that.
Ed Markey, Elizabeth Warren, Michelle Wu.
Wow.
Right. So like really far gone. So you're not necessarily going to really reach people like that. But her parents, college professors, in academia, well off, just cliche up and down. Has anybody been converted or seen something where they just go, oh crap, what have I got myself into? Or just been surrounded by such freaks on that side where they go, oh my God, what did I do? And they don't have to be necessarily politically active now, but like a friend who just you're, just friendly with in your dorm or something.
I'm not usually friendly with them, honestly,
okay.
but
no, I mean, but somebody that converted.
They are in their own echo chamber, honestly.
Yeah.
There's no stopping it. I would say our biggest clash on campus is the pro-Palestinian, because we also have a fairly big Jewish population on campus.
Okay, all right.
So that has been huge since I've been here, and they are loud and they protest through campus. They literally, my dorm, my freshman year was right next to the president of the college's house.
Yeah.
They literally would sit outside her house and scream and yell for just hours on end. And the funny part is, a lot of it isn't a lot of students. It's literally adults, middle-aged people that will come to our college campus, rile up all of these students and protest. I mean, they must be paid protesters, because I don't know how they're like making an income or something.
No, they're 100%
because they
paid
literally
protesters,
come to our campus during class hours, all hours of the day. They march through streets. They go sit in front of President Granberg's house when the White House is 3 blocks down. Go in front of the White House. But yeah, so it's actually, that's what we found a lot, is a lot of times there are a lot of students, but it's a lot of just people that come to campus to cause a ruckus.
So, I mean, the Palestinian cause, if you can call it that, is probably the number one protest vehicle right now. What is that like for the Jewish students on campuses, or even friends you have on at other schools? Because I imagine we saw this after October 7th, and we've had our own flare-ups in Boston. The woman who wrote the article and has since left the country, but Marco Rubio was going to deport her because, and let me say this, rightfully so. I'll say this: if you are here to get an education and you are from another country, you cannot come here and support terrorist organizations and expect to stay, right? And organizations that were set up to destroy what our form of government is. So, a couple things: the climate. Are Jewish students more intimidated now, or what's been going on there and that you've experienced or seen or talked to your fellow students?
I have a lot of Jewish friends. They are intimidated. They are, at least it's better now. Actually, the Trump administration has launched investigations into GW, into a bunch of other universities for not addressing the anti-Semitic issues through this pro-Palestine, which goes hand in hand with the socialist movement. They are one in together.
Yeah.
But I would say, so my senior year of high school is when all the encampment stuff started. It they had to like move finals. It was a whole thing. And then I got there my freshman fall, and it was still just every day they were sending protests through, hundreds of people marching through campus. Jewish students were, my roommate was Jewish my freshman year, always on the phone with her mom. I don't know what to do. Like it's crazy.
Well, it's scary because you're seeing now people are being attacked for being Jewish.
Exactly.
And this is just, let's be perfectly clear. They are being attacked for being Jewish.
Yes.
Not for supporting Israel. Yes. You have protests taking place at bagel shops and synagogues throughout the country. So
I would say now, a couple years in, I've only seen the Jewish community grow stronger. They have the Chabad, and they have all of their, there's a lot of Jewish student organizations. And I think that their sentiment on campus is just kind of like power in numbers. Like there are a ton of Jewish students on campus.
Right.
The school is now trying to, I think they've been pressured a little bit to kind of rectify those things. They've sanctioned a lot of the student groups that have caused a lot of the issues, which have helped a little bit. But yeah, definitely attention on campus. I've seen it get better. But yeah, I feel for them. I've always they've had my support, but definitely a tough situation for them to be in.
Yeah.
So in BC, luckily we don't have a lot of issues with protests. Actually, it's really, the BC PD does a good job. We have, again, I feel like, I'm not sure for some reason, I think we're just lucky we don't have such big disturbances on our campus. I do think, returning back to this question, have you ever converted anyone to the true light of capitalism? I've definitely influenced some people. Like, lots of people just misconstrue what reality is. You know, like they don't actually understand.
Give me an example.
Oh, they say, well, because you like capitalism, you're okay with, you know, corporate greed or like corporations influencing the government. Like, no, I'm not okay with that. I'm not okay with big business like trying to install itself in monopolies across the country. I'm not in favor of that. I'm just saying that I'm in favor of someone being able to open their own business without having to pay like extortionate fees to get like even to open your doors. That like that's actually blocking real wealth creation. So I was able to get like a lot of people, especially a lot of my friends, to like kind of see the other side. Maybe not like convert them, but maybe send them on the road to Damascus, perhaps.
Yeah,
we'll see.
Road to neutrality. At least be neutral. Yeah.
Exactly. Just please neutral and actually understand what you're fighting against, and not like being so programmed, I would say.
Yeah.
To say certain things.
Do you think the protests are effective? Because these, you know, I don't know how many liberal family members you have or something, and of course there's a No Kings protest, you know, that's been like 2 or 3, and they go out. Let me just little wisdom from your old pal Jeff.
The sage.
Protests and rallies, and if it's a political rally, don't really, in my opinion, you can come at me. I'll put my handle up right now. You can come at me on social media. Don't accomplish anything. Yeah. Okay? They don't accomplish anything. They make you feel good, which is what they're designed to do. They're designed to make you feel, right? So you go to a protest, you yell and scream, you feel like you accomplished something, then you go home and you eat a taco, and nothing gets done. Real political work is what you're going to experience this summer, and how you actually get people to vote for your candidates. Protests, I have to imagine, does everybody just walk by them and roll their eyes on a college campus? Is that
even my more liberal friends, like, we're college students, we nap at 2 p.m. I don't want your drums and tambourines outside my window. Like, yeah, it truly is annoying. And because we're right in the city, there's nothing we can do. Like, they have to stay off the sidewalks, but anything in the street is public property. And actually, the DCPD blocks the roads for them. Like,
are they laughed at? I hope they're laughed at.
Yes, they're pointed at, they're laughed at. It's like, yeah, do your thing, whatever. But at the end of the day, we're college students, and we really don't have time or energy to be like caring about whatever these middle-aged people come here to yell and scream about.
I feel, and about the protest point, I think protests are only effective if they're part of a larger movement. Like, if you actually want effective protests, actually shut down the country. That you can actually get things done. Like, you can see that like in France. The French are great at protesting. I would say like most Latin American countries are great at protesting. You go to Buenos Aires, they cut off all the streets. Well, not anymore. But like they cut off all the streets. You know, people don't go to work. The government has to negotiate. But you know, I feel like Americans, we don't want to go all the way. You know, we're like kind of like we just want to do this to show how angry we are. So like, that's not effective.
I'll give people a sneak preview for, like, I was watching Maura Healey on WGBH, Boston Public Radio, recently for some research. Somebody called in and was like, "Well, do you think we should have a national strike?" It's like, oh God, here we go. Like France, right? Yeah. Let's do a national strike. One, America's too large. It just wouldn't take place. France, you can sort of arrange it, and you can actually shut things down. Now, but that's not a protest, right? A protest to me is like you go out and you voice your concerns peacefully. You're not stopping. When you're blocking traffic, when you're that is more. The communists would call it direct engagement or something like that. They're talking about physically getting in the way of stuff, not really expressing your opinion, right? They're taking action. Direct action is what they call it. Those are two different things, and that shouldn't remain illegal in our country, and I guess it doesn't in France because they
keep doing it.
They keep caving. I guess that would be effective, but then it's like that never ends.
It's true.
As soon as you do that, as soon as you cave to somebody who takes direct action and shuts things down, like even on your college campus example, then it only will encourage more. So you just stop. You have to stop that right away. You don't engage. We solve things with words and ideas in this country, and that's how it has to continue to get done. But I'm glad to hear that people are at least getting bored of the protests and
Just, it's like annoying. Like,
yeah, they're highly annoying.
yes, but what can you? Oh, you know, just don't do it.
I also just feel like, at least in my case, like there are liberal protesters in a liberal city protesting on a liberal college campus.
You're
Whose mind are you
You're
changing
preaching to
here?
the choir.
Like,
Yeah.
and it's also they're in their own echo chamber. Over half of the country doesn't agree with you, and they don't understand that. They don't see that other half. And living in Massachusetts, we don't see that other half. But I think it's comforting to remind yourself, like, Trump did win the popular vote. Like, there is a majority in this country, at least in 2024, that we don't see very often.
Well, and you're in an election cycle. I hate to break it to the world, but democracy didn't end 2 years ago like they promised, right? It didn't. Democracy is on the ballot. No, it's not. It never was. These people are out of their minds, and they are just willing to say anything and everything to stay in power and get themselves elected. So you're right. 2024 was a pivotal election. That if you're a liberal, the country elected somebody whose policies you don't agree with. That's what happened. Okay, that's all that happened. We don't live. There's not a monarchy. There's no king. They have to. I'm hoping the younger generation, like, and you guys have to make me feel good as an old man, that the younger generation is more aware of this, and they do roll their eyes and they go, "Oh God, here we go!"
Yeah,
like, and they have some barometer as to what's real and what's not.
Yeah.
I think they see the kind of performance that the left puts on, but they're feeling the impacts of their policies. I mean, look at New York and even Boston and California. Like,
Well, what does your generation think about, like, Mamdani in New York?
it's split.
Some say
Really?
some think he's the Messiah. But like,
I think
Okay.
it's either he's like the worst, he's the enemy, or he should be the president.
But do they get why he's the worst? I mean, do they see when he eats rice with his hands?
Some do.
And he's just some theater kid that, like, he's a spoiled theater kid. Do they get that, or do other people fall for it and go, "Oh, he's so authentic"?
I think it's a split, truly.
Wow,
yeah,
that's
it's
scary.
It's a split.
All right.
I think Mandami he really appeals to like the socialist youth strain that we talked about earlier. We'll see if he actually delivers. I mean, people are already saying he got rid of the debt in New York City. Well, all he did is just say we're going to pay it back in 2037. So, like he just did some magical financial accounting, and then boom. He kicked the can. He did the most time-honored tradition of government, kicking the can down the road.
Right.
Yeah, so he's already being a great politician in that sense. Politician-wise, he's already like a 10 out of 10. But I'm not sure his policy could go great.
Yeah, he got elected.
Yeah, he got elected. He got elected.
Well,
In terms of like Massachusetts and people actually seeing the impact of like not socialist policy, but democratic policies in general, I do think it's being noticed. The noticing is happening. Of like 38,000 residents left Massachusetts last year. Of those, the majority were young people, 25 to 30-year-olds were like the biggest cohort of people who left the state. And I think it's a big indicator of the affordability crisis, and like the ability to live in these big cities or these big financial hubs that used to be so dominant. But the thing is that, Boston, New York, those cities, or Los Angeles even, they're not going to be big cities. They're not going to be important cities if people can't actually stay and live in them.
Yeah.
So I think that's being felt firsthand right now, and I do think the fact that people are kind of voting with their feet by leaving these places. I do hope that we can win and do some change here in Massachusetts, because this is my home state. I lived here basically my entire life. I did live 5 years in New York as an exile, no, I do hope that we can do something about that.
And
I like to
Elise,
live here.
did you grow up in Massachusetts?
Yeah, born and raised.
So you're both here. I agree with you. I want to keep fighting for this place. I love it here. I mean, except for January and February. But
those are the worst times.
It's a great place to live, and we should continue to do that. So a couple questions as we wrap up here. You talking about affordability. What are young people thinking, right? So you're gonna be, within a couple of years, you're both gonna be graduating. What's the thought process on, maybe there's upperclassmen that have left. Where are they going? What are they doing? What are they thinking? Because I know when I moved to Boston, the day after I graduated, I moved to Boston. And it was expensive, but it was achievable. I was able to get a job, had roommates, the whole thing. It's still the best city in the world for young people, but is it now giving people pause to even come here or stay here? Or if you know a little bit of older people, have they come and left?
Yeah, I have an older sister. She's 29. She lives in East Boston with her husband and her new daughter.
Okay.
They've been renting for, she graduated grad school probably 5 years ago.
Yeah.
Renting, can't find a house. They're looking for another apartment in hopefully the suburbs come August, September, but it's brutal. And so they're maybe move to Connecticut, maybe, somewhere else that has a little better prices. But I mean, right now they're kind of just stuck in this like transition zone.
Yeah,
and they both have great jobs. Like it's so
expensive. Well, yeah, it's
feasible. And what are you going to do? Rent for $4,000 a month for how long? At that point, it's like,
I can't even tell people, if people in your sister's situation, you look at the sticker price on what is a very modest, if not that great a house, is $1 million.
My cousin just bought in Essex for it's like a 2-bedroom, 1-bath for like 2/3 of $1 million.
Oh God! I worry about that because I worry things are going to reset and they'll be underwater on some of those.
Yeah,
mortgages.
I mean, what else can you do though? Like, it's. I mean, they're in their mid-30s. Like, they have a daughter, a family. Like, I mean, there's really, unless they want to leave the state, and they're like me, born and raised here, family lives here. Like, what are you gonna do? Leave your village to afford a house? Like, that's what is troubling about being from here and having all of your family here, and what do you do?
Right.
I think there's definitely a desire for people to stay here, but a lot of people just end up going to I feel like there's a big move to go to Texas or Florida. Yeah, especially now since they're getting rid of property taxes in Florida.
Yeah.
So that will be interesting. And there's definitely a move to more affordable states that is kind of entering people's minds. It's even reflecting in the fact that a lot of financial activity is moving to those states. So if the jobs move, we're all moving.
The jobs go, people will follow.
Like the jobs are going. New York, let's tax the rich, and then all the rich take their business and leave.
They're moving down to Florida. Yeah.
Everyone's going to Florida.
So I'm kind of, I don't know where I'm going to end up in a couple of years. I'm still thinking about it. I'm generally thinking about it. So we'll see.
Do you, John, this question is for you specifically because I have a pet peeve with this woman, but is Heather Cox Richardson still on? Do you know who that is at Boston College?
I do not know.
All right.
Sorry about that.
Good. It's good. People who know, I'll look into the camera. People who know. All right. Let's see. All right. Well, one, I want to thank you guys for coming on the show. It's been a good episode. I got to speak to the younger generation and understand a little bit more about what's going on in their world because it's been some years. I'm going to put in a plug. If you want to contribute to help, make this internship successful for them, how about this? Go to the link on the screen, scan the QR code. Help out, donate some money to the Republican Party. These fine young people who are the future of the party. We need them to stay. We need them to work hard and get Massachusetts back to normal. I think we are. I have now more confidence after our conversation that we are on a good road back to some common sense government. So, all right. With that, I'm going to let you get back to your internship. Thank you for coming on, both John and Annalise. And for everybody else, we'll be talking to you again soon. So bye-bye.
Bye.